And at some point, Brandy, can you have me be host so I can screen share something? It doesn't have to happen right now, but at some point.
You are co-host now, so you can do it whenever you're ready.
Oh, okay. Yep. Thank you, everyone, for coming again to an impromptu Festival of Chimes and Lights committee meeting. We're going to get started with saying hello to Christine. Christine, we haven't really heard much. Oh, Sharon? Sharon.
She's just waving at me.
I'm just waving at Chris.
Okay. Oh, you're
I'll wave at you too.
Christine, I think one thing that's been missing in our meetings the last couple of times is the presence of POPSA and what's going on. And I have a feeling that you have information for us about, can you fill us in on what you guys are planning and so far?
Right now, we're in the process of talking about it.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely do the coloring page if that's something that's still wanted. I know Corrine at the dock is still going to do something with and have Santas for a couple of weekends. We don't think we're going to be able to do Santa at the log cabin this year, which makes us really sad. Dennis Simpson called me the other day to say he was not going to be Santa anywhere.
Yeah.
And I have to talk to my other Santas. I've been trying to think of ways I can safely do it, and I haven't really come up with anything yet, although I was talking to Corrine today about the possibility of using the front part of the market for those first 2 weekends as the log cabin Santa. So we could do maybe a big sled with Santa sitting back and the kids could come up so far so that they could at least talk to him and the parents could still get pictures. Bobby mentioned something about having a great big huge Christmas mailbox that potentially kids could put their mail to Santa in, and if they have addresses or something, we could potentially have some people write letters back from Santa or something like that. She said she'd be willing to work on something. The Bay Street Association and the Chamber are going to be working on a home for the holiday handbook. So we'll find everything we can being done locally and have that available to people. Any specials that anybody's going to do, any tree farms, any caroling, anything like that that's going to go on during the season. And so Chimes and Lights would be a great opportunity to get that out to the public. That's in its initial planning stages at this point. And we'll probably do something around Shop Small, nothing big. I mean, we can't do any gatherings, but what we'll do is what we've been doing all along, which is some kind of come down, take your picture, post the selfie. There'll be prizes and things like that that will work around your theme for Chimes and Lights.
Okay. And is that pretty much it?
Right, as of right now.
Okay. I'm going to bring you up to speed too. Basically, there is quite a bit that we're going to have to forego this year, including Santa and the marching band. Anything that brings a crowd together, we're being discouraged to have again. So a lot of our traditions are on hold. And we are too, just like you guys, trying to come up with ideas where we can still be keeping everyone safe and yet having some festivities. So this crew right here has been working on a theme, which we're getting a little bit close to now. You know, we originally were talking about a musical theme. We don't even think that's wise. We're gonna push that off until next year because we can't have the choirs. Almost everything we do brings people together. And that's a problem for the city. And when we're trying to keep everyone safe, and we suspect that as the flu season approaches, that we'll have to deal with more illness and people will have to be even more vigilant because we won't have the great outdoors that we do right now to hang out and play in. So with that in mind, what we talked about is a whole lot more lighting. Kathy Garcia is going to be doing a whole lot down at the Port of Bremerton with nice big displays, and she said she's working on moving the sled over from where it was last year, but she's going to do a whole lot with lights, displays, music. The tree will still be lit, Christine, but we are going to discourage people coming to see it lit. At first we thought that'd be so cool and we could do something virtually, but then the police chief weighed in and he said, even if you say don't come, they will.
They will. They will. You're right. They will.
And so
Put the switch at noon.
we'll have the tree lit, and we're still going to light it on that day, but we won't say when. And we are going to discourage people from actually coming down for that. We were even thinking of having a live video with, you know, pets or whatever, Santa there. None of that's seeming like a good idea.
Okay.
We're still going to have the decorated trees on Bay Street, so we'll still have sponsorship for those, and we'll get advertising out on that. I think right now, Brandy, last week we were at about 16. Do you have any idea where that's at?
Yep. We have 6.
Oh, you're going to take a peek? We can't hear you for some reason. I can't.
She's on mute.
Yeah.
No,
16.
she's just not talking very loudly.
16.
Yeah, it's hard to hear you. Your computer sound must be really down.
We can hardly, yeah. We heard you when you came right to the screen, Brandy, like when you did this, then we could hear one word.
16.
Okay.
Ah,
I don't want to
turn your computer sound up, girl.
In your face. Okay.
So we're still at 16, and so you can see we're going to have to do some promoting to get those sold. But we're going to have 50 like last year, and several of them won't be able to be lit. But otherwise, the electric problem was remedied, I think, on the north side. So we'll still have that. And then we're talking about lots of lighting and encouraging neighborhoods to light up. And even if it's a single string, and part of what we were talking about is, you know, I looked up some other cities and what they're calling this. We're working on our theme. We don't quite have it. We're just hovering around it somehow. But other cities are calling theirs love lights, Corona kindness. I mean, we've got a few things that we've just seen. And so we're working on promoting neighborhood lighting, perhaps even with themes, social distance, of course, you know, but there are neighborhoods that already do that. So encouraging more of that. And another thing that's been discussed is something that was done a while ago by a group of people, and Christine may know whom, I don't. They painted and hid rocks all over. It was a real fun time when they were just, you could find a rock in the tree, you could find rocks all over the place. And they had little messages on them or just little paintings. And so we're thinking of Christmas rocks. And
Okay, yeah, there's a group on Facebook still, and they love to do that kind of stuff.
yeah, well, we're talking bigger than just one group. We're talking about like maybe almost citywide or any kind of group like schools, churches, painting joy rocks or Christmas rocks or whatever you want to call them. And then having areas where they're hidden, maybe hidden in plain sight. But just, we all had an experience with finding a rock, and we kind of shared it last time and saying, it's pretty small, and yet it was memorable. We all remembered where we found our first rock and how encouraging or fun it was. And I was just telling my story. I found one way out in hiking, and I couldn't bear to take it with me, even though I loved it so much. And it was such a beautiful little rock with a spruce on it. And I left it there because it just was so cool. I took a picture. And I'm thinking, you know what? That little tiny thing is the kind of thing we're promoting in this time when there's resources are tight and we can't come together like we want to and really need to. So if we could get a lot of people caught up in this painting rocks thing, Sharon was saying that the royalty could do a little tutorial on how it's done. And there's lots and lots of different illustrations of what they look like, and it could be really fun. So that's something that we're trying to work into it. Yeah, Rita.
Well, I was also, I think it was Janine was mentioning that they could take pictures of themselves with their rock, and it would be could be posted at the city's Facebook page, so that you knew just some notoriety of where it may have come from or who was the artist, could see who got their rock wherever it showed up. I know, I think kids like to be in pictures and see themselves around town. So
Yeah.
So
And
The
Cindy,
adults do too.
I forgot,
Yeah, oh,
Cindy,
yeah.
I just noticed on my notes, we were supposed to work on those themes, which I did, but I didn't email them to you, and I guess we are supposed to. So if
oh,
you
that's
still,
okay.
I just had 3 more. One I wrote down was Love Lights. Now I know why that was in my mind, is because we talked about that last week. But I'm sorry I didn't email them to you, but I do have 3 more.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, Light Up Your Heart, Winter Warmth, and Small Town Joy.
Light up your heart, small town joy. And what was the other one, Rita?
Winter Warmth.
Okay.
I just want you to know I did my homework.
But you always do. Good work. Okay. Yeah, and I think a big part of that, the big part of the rocks thing, well, for one thing, it wouldn't be very expensive. And, you know, I don't know what it's going to look like for people at Christmas time. There's still a lot of unemployed around here, and shops are still closing. You're seeing that.
The dance gallery, I think, is closing, she told me.
Who is?
The dance gallery.
Oh, oh no. Wow.
Oh.
That's almost our whole downtown. You know, I mean, a lot of it. Wow. Well, you know, how could they possibly be giving instruction? I mean, yeah.
It would be almost impossible right now.
Yeah.
So, well, we're still there with all of that. And if we did have people posing with their rocks and sending those and keeping that up on Facebook, there could be more to it too, that there might be some little promises that go with a rock or prizes that go with a certain number, certain organizations. We were thinking of Rotary clubs, you know, all the different organizations, maybe painting rocks and having maybe a prize for a certain rock that might be found. I don't know exactly how we'd organize all of that, but again, if we're doing the Facebook, that might be part of it. Thoughts on any of this?
Popsa did a rock thing they did sailboats the month before last month. They did rocks for a weekend. And the call out to people to paint rocks was really small, but I think Susan Lee from the library was in charge of hiding them with the court. And I want to say they hid somewhere on the order of 300 or 400 rocks was how many rocks people brought just in a really short period of time.
Wow.
That was really fun and really nicely painted. Everybody asked was just so enthused about the opportunity to participate in something going on. So I think you'll get a lot of participation from various groups and from people coming down to either look for them or to help hide them or to bring you some.
What we had talked about, Chris, at the last meeting was to have specific designated areas to put the rocks in. because we didn't want to put them in any of the planters where the trees are for people digging around and messing up the tree. So we talked about not doing it down Bay Street, basically.
Yeah, so I think as long as you let people know the general areas, you're going to get a lot of participation.
Yeah, we can cover them all around City Hall.
And we did a hashtag, specific hashtag people posted on Instagram and on Facebook. And then they randomly picked a couple of people to get prizes.
Oh, okay. You know what? I'm having a little technical difficulty here. I'm going to try. There we go. Okay. Oh, so okay. And that worked pretty well?
It was really well received. It went really well. It was really well received.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that. So here we're marching into rock territory.
But there were a lot of the people that helped plant the planters this summer.
Yeah.
Were also really enthused about helping with the rocks and, and their kids. There's one lady that took 6 of the planters, and she and her kids are really enthused about anything going on, that they can help with in the community.
So we don't also have a lot of time. Part of what our challenge is going to be getting the word out. We don't even have the Port Orchard Independent, right, Brandy?
Correct. Yeah. They're not our official newspaper, correct? Kitsap Sun is.
Right. Well, I haven't even seen the paper being published, the Port Orchard Independent.
They're back to publishing.
They are?
Yeah. You have to pay for it now, though.
Well, I have paid for it, but they're not.
You're probably not getting, I don't know about delivery, but I know they're publishing.
Okay. Do you know how often?
It was once a month, but I want to say that they told me they're back to weekly.
I'll have to ask about that because I haven't seen anything. Anybody else see?
I haven't heard from Brenda at all.
Brenda's not our rep anymore.
No, she's up Bainbridge Island now.
Up on Bainbridge Island. It's somebody else down here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think who, although she is helping me with a couple of things. I can ask her to have the person get a hold of you, Cindy.
Yeah, we need to find out.
Okay.
And plus I need to find out for sure if they're publishing. Because online, I'm not sure what that readership would be or if they can even tell us. And quite frankly, I don't know that we have that much budget for the Kitsap Sun. There's a big difference between the pricing for the 2 papers, but we're going to have to get word out to let people know that our event isn't like it's been. I think that's really important this year, because I know we can do this on the city Facebook page, but we need more than that. So Chris, for POPSA, are you putting ads in the Sun and the Port Orchard?
No, we don't use the Sun. If I'm going to put ads anywhere, it'll be in the with sound publishing. They've got a really good deal for all. I think there's only 3 papers now. No, there's 4. Kingston is once a month, and Bainbridge Island is publishing. North Kitsap is not. I think the one out in Belfair is still publishing. And then the Port Orchard Independent. So you can do like all 4 papers for not a whole lot of money, and you get a special deal if you are going to do it in all 4 papers. Or they have another. Bainbridge Island has a website that's specific to the island that really encourages people to come and shop in the downtown stores because they're not going to survive without it. And they were going to do a full page ad in the Bainbridge Review up there, and I think it was like $500 or something. It wasn't really that expensive to do the full page.
Right. Well, if no one's getting their papers, cheap advertising still isn't getting us much.
Right. It doesn't help. I'm happy to put whatever you need on the POPSA website and push it out on our Facebook page.
Okay.
And with Explore Port Orchard, we can easily put it on the Explore Port Orchard website and on that Facebook page.
Okay.
So
We
I'm
will
happy to
work
do
on
that.
getting some press releases out. Once we have this more firmed up of what we are having and what we're not having,
Mhm.
we can work on that. I'll work on that with staff and we'll get something out. I think we'll let the whole school thing settle for a bit now and not do it too close to school starting and all that they're trying to figure out. Because everybody's got a lot on their minds, and this won't be it. So if we wait a couple of weeks and then we have a big push about Chimes and Lights still being on December 5th, but what it is and what it isn't, then I think what we'll do is we'll work with you, Chris,
Okay.
to get that out, because we've got a lot of people to inform.
The other place you could do it,
Mhm.
and I don't remember the cost, right? And they may have dropped us some. It's through Peach Jar, which is what the school uses. And instead of going to the schools, it goes to all the parents. And it's electronic. You'd put your poster on Peach Jar and they would send it out to whichever schools you wanted. You can pick and choose. And
Oh,
that
really?
that might be a way to get it out to a lot of people with kids.
Okay.
They know what to expect. I know there's a lot of questions out there right now about what's going on for kids.
Right. And I would think that we can do the Port Orchard social media pages too.
Mhm.
Port Orchard Positive, that certainly has readership.
Yeah.
In fact, that's probably got the greatest readership of all, right?
Port
But I
Orchard
would-
Rocks, which is the rock group that started it, have their own Facebook page too that we should probably include.
Port Orchard Rocks.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I know the library will get it out for you.
Mhm.
right. Okay. Ah! Excuse me. My kitty just had a little
Oh,
scare. He knocked a bunch of stuff over and jumped almost to the ceiling. All right,
oh.
we're good though. Okay, so now back to the theme. Sharon, you were working on a few ideas for the theme too. Did you
Yeah,
have any?
I was still trying to include joy and rocks in it since we want to do Christmas rocks. And then one that I had down was joy, momentum, rocks. Moments of joy, rock. Moments of joy, rocks. Doesn't have the word lights in it though, if we're wanting to keep the word lights in it because of Chimes and Lights.
Okay, could you read that first one again, please, Sharon?
Joy, momentum, rocks, meaning that we're putting a lot of momentum into joy for the holiday season.
Okay. And moments of joy, rocks.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just see here. Randy, can you make me host so I can share screen?
Yeah, you should be co-host. Let me just double check.
Okay,
Mine said you were co-hosting.
does it?
Yeah,
It did,
I
or a little earlier it did.
Yep, you still got the symbol, so you should be able to share your screen.
Okay. All right. Can you see this, you guys?
Yeah.
This was just something I whipped together this afternoon a little bit. None of it is exactly, these were just ideas from last time. So if we come up with something if we have love lights in it, that we could still do the lights part of it and joy rocks, or
Yeah.
could we do something along the line like that, where we're letting people know that we've got both things going on?
Love
Sure.
lights, yeah.
Yeah,
I
why
like
not?
that. Love lights, joy rocks.
So what we could do is, the idea is to get something out that looked a lot like what we've done in the past with our blue and white. And, all I put down was tiny expressions of kindness in a COVID world. That can be anything. That was just to get the thoughts out about what we're after. And then explaining what is going on as far as city events, and that they're potentially unsafe and maybe not legal, and that we still wanted to have and encourage others to show kindness in the midst of this time and pass it on. So we can talk about what we will still have, the Christmas tree. We can still have music playing from the clock tower, the Christmas tree decorating contest in the planters, that sort of thing. And then start pushing out the idea of more of the lighting taking place. Although, you know, Port Orchard, there's quite a bit that already goes on. But if we can get neighborhoods to work on even more, or people just put up a single string or write some little thing in lights. And then the Care Rocks or Love Rocks or Joy Rocks, whatever we're calling them, get that so that we can get the different organizations to start working on some of those. And then with, you know, like what you were saying before is the having some of the rocks turn up to be have a prize that goes with them, or a little something that happens, some kind of whatever. With regular posting of them on the Facebook, I don't know what would happen if we had too many postings, but I guess that would be a good problem. I don't think we'll have to worry
It's a
about
good problem.
a
Yeah.
good problem. Yeah. And, you know, and then also just say at the very end of something like this is what we're putting on hold for another year. And that would be things like the marching band. And see, the log cabin is too small, isn't it? That's your challenge.
That's my challenge. I can't think of a way to safely do it, to bring in, given the size of the cabin, you're looking at one family group at a time.
Right.
And even now, we're pushed to get everybody that wants to come through in that time period.
Yeah. Very
So if I move it to, we talked about some kind of, appointment system, you know, where you sign up for a certain time period and you can come at that time period. But even so, the cabin is just too small.
Yeah.
And outside, we talked about doing it outside, but the weather is always so iffy. So right now I'm working with Corrine on maybe we could do something those first 2 weekends in December down at the public market, get a big log cabin diorama behind it with a sled that Santa can sit in, so the kids can at least see him, come up to a certain point. Families can still take pictures. We still have to come up with some kind of appointment system, I think, because they can't support that many people inside the public market anyway.
Well, and especially given that there's a restaurant in there too.
Yeah.
You know, the front part there is open air. Yeah, I don't know how you would do it. You'd have to have a lot of volunteers to manage it.
And that's the thing. So we're still working through whether that's even going to be possible.
Yeah.
Right. And the kids won't be coming to the library.
No.
See,
No.
we're left with not much.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no lighted boats, by the way, Chris.
There's what?
No lighted boats.
Oh, no. Oh, well, that makes sense. So if you think about it, because that encourages people to go stand on the shore together.
Yeah.
Right.
Is the
So
fire department doing Santa on the fire truck?
No.
No.
No Santa at all. Well,
Not
I take
even
that
on
back.
the fire truck.
The fire truck that normally goes around, that Mike and Debbie Smith, who are on my Fathoms board, Debbie did say at our last board meeting that the fire department will continue to do Santa on the fire truck, and they have a very heavy schedule of where all they're taking Santa on the fire truck.
Right.
But they're not going to be stopping as far as kids go to be able to come up to Santa, that I understand.
No, but they'll still get to see him and wave, and
Yeah, they'll still get to see
Exciting
that
to
portion of Santa and the
hear
fire.
the fire truck come down your street. And
Yeah, just not the one that we would normally come into Port Orchard with for our event here.
right.
Right, and the police chief was real specific about that, saying that we can't have something like that where kids will run up and all gather around it.
Yeah.
And that, Sharon was even talking about having the Fathoms float be out there and about, but he even said that requires kind of volunteers and an escort and all of that. And he said that it's the same thing. You're calling people out to gather around, and there's no controlling it. So
that's the big if, is that if you advertise it and people come, what kind of issues are you creating? And if you do it but don't advertise it so that not very many people know about it, then what's the point?
Yeah.
Right.
We had talked about using, I believe, Saturday, September 12th. We were looking at wanting to set up the float and just have it set up for people driving by to look at it, not run it around, but to have it down at the Kitsap Bank parking lot on that particular Saturday. The court usually is over at the farmers market helping them, and then Helene would split it up. Some would be at the float to wave at everybody as they pass by. But based on the chief and what he had to say, I'm still afraid that people are going to be walking to their cars from the farmers market and just walk up and all the way around the float, and then we're still going to have a social distance issue.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's right. I mean, I really do think that's what will happen.
Yeah. So our float may not happen for the public to even view.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah.
It's just a bummer of a year.
Yeah.
She's our new president to Seroptimus, and all she gets to do is Zoom meetings.
Corinne's having that problem this year. All she's gotten to do so far this year is deal with the water issue with the plants.
Yeah. The nightmare.
Well.
Okay. Well, we're still thinking, so I don't know that we'll come up with anything great, but that's the real dilemma is being able to do something where you can control the number of people and still make it fun.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I do think, what we're trying to do is spread the joy a little bit, have the city be as lit up as possible, including using some of our budget to light up areas in the city that we haven't before, not just downtown, but if it's possible, if we have the bandwidth with our staff, to maybe light up some roundabouts, maybe on Tremont, the new areas. So lights that are in the entryways of the city, not just right downtown.
That'd be good.
It would be really fun. I'm not sure of all the logistics of that because, city's going through plenty of shortages and all of that too, challenges. But that would be very neat to have some lights on some of those trees in the roundabouts and things, wouldn't it?
It would be very cheerful.
It really would. And, I'm not sure, I've got to find out policy about making use of volunteers and that sort of thing if we're short of staff. But we may be able to do that and maybe use some of our budget for putting into the labor over there for some of that. Because we're not going to be doing as much advertising and some of the other things we have in the past.
Rotary always does the lighting at the Mile Hill roundabout.
Right.
So
That's
about the new roundabouts.
Right, and that's another thing is getting some of the volunteer organizations to do that. That's the morning Rotary Club. I know our noon club would like to do some things too. So lighting and rocks, you guys. I'm sorry, but you know what? You get to the point where
What else?
right, you can't hide bottles of wine, I mean, there's not that much to do. on the agenda was the Kitsap Bank Community Connections. Brandy, do you know what was that about?
Yeah, so it's just that time of year where they seek applications to be part of their grant funding.
grants.
And so I think each year we put in 1,000 to 5,000 and wanted to know if we still wanted to move forward with that and what would we be asking, what would we be doing with the funds? So this is going to be for,
Next year.
correct, for 2021.
Well,
It's due
since
on
we're,
the 13th.
it's due on the 13th. Well,
Yeah.
let's say yes, we do want to, and we've just talked about it. Lighting, displays in other parts of town. I think the entryway to our town, getting some displays up. We're a much bigger city than we were back in the day. And we need to be thinking about our whole city now, not just downtown, even though downtown is the heart of our city. I think if we have something even near McCormick Woods, in the Tremont, some start out with some displays that we can keep adding to, that would be just awesome. You know, Mile Hill, we really haven't done much there. And I don't know exactly where in these places, but it just would be fun to kind of spread the joy a little bit. And I know the chamber deals with a little bit more of the whole town. Port Orchard Bay Street is mostly focused downtown.
Right.
But yes, let's write that. And displays, I bet they would be thrilled with that because they themselves do so much with that. And that would be very cool. So, Brandy, we would really need to get moving on some of our goals to be able to start getting the word out too. Do you have any idea, Brandy, when the deadlines would be for the utility billing notices?
I think it's soon. I think September and October. I think that's usually the end of September because it'll go in the September run, which they get their billing in 1st of October, and then you have to have it at the end of September, end of October, because you want it on the October and the November run, because if you get it on the December run,
Too late.
you not make it. Yeah, so it's going to be probably mid-September, so probably in about 2 weeks, but I will look for that email. I know Janine reached out to her and asked her what the deadline was, so I will get that to you. I'll have Janine.
Okay. I really want to utilize that this year because that will be a great way to get a whole lot of people made aware of what we are and what we're not doing.
And Cindy, what about the Kitsap Light or Kitsap Bank statements where they put out the public notices in their bank statements? Because that would be another good source to get that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that reminder. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
The bank, yes. Except, do they still send paper statements anymore? That's all online?
They still send paper.
I get mine paper mail.
Okay.
No
Okay.
parking.
I don't want to print out my statements. I want to get them in the mail so I can punch a hole in them and put them in my binder.
Okay.
So I haven't converted over to all the e-stuff yet.
I don't like the paperless. I am old school. I
Yeah,
want to
me
pull
too.
that paper out and look at it when I can't figure out what I did last month.
Yeah.
Can't remember back that far.
I do quite a lot of printing myself, and I know the city has mostly gone paperless, but a lot of times when we get our packets, there's still aspects of what I just need to have my hands on paper to look at it and spend time. I like going back and forth too, and not all the scrolling all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I just need things simplified, and I don't want my screen all divided up. So we're all kind of old school, maybe. Yeah.
As a little sense of humor, I wrote down the word spread the joy when you mentioned that. But then I was going to add spread the joy, light up Port Orchard, and I could just see all these people lighting up their e-cigarettes.
Yeah.
No
So
vaping.
we might have to be careful how we word light up.
Yeah, I think
That can be done, yeah, interpreted in many ways.
Yes, it could. And you know what? I think these days light up does mean cigarette or e-cigarette. I mean, they
Yeah,
have.
That's what I think of when you say light up. I immediately go to the e-cigarette situation that we have. Spread the joy, Port Orchard Rocks. Spread the joy.
See, but if you've got the Port Orchard Rocks, then you're not thinking the rock very
Right.
much.
Right.
That to me sounds like music and dancing.
Mhm.
So I still think that we've got to work on this somehow.
Spread the joy, find a rock.
Yeah, no.
Find a rock. I love it.
Gotta have a little humor here.
I think everybody up there has flipped their lips. Oh, okay. Well, we'll probably get these all written out and then maybe do a little voting thing. Because we've got, I don't know.
Might be just a flip of a word here and a word there from another, another one that we've got down.
Right. Right. So I think then probably the next thing to do is to move forward with, if everyone's sort of feeling that the rocks might be working, is to go ahead and contact all of these groups and ask about their willingness to participate. Let's just do that.
I think they will, and I think that asking them to donate a prize, like we talked about, where they pick a rock from their organization, they take a picture of it, they number that rock, they send it in, and then therefore we have a picture of what the rock looks like. So when that person takes the selfie of that rock and that's a number, we can also mention in the paperwork that find the coded rock and win a prize. And I think that all the organizations would donate some kind of a prize, be it a $10 gift certificate at Starbucks or a basket, a movie basket, anything. Come up with some kind of a prize. Fathoms
Right.
will.
Yeah. Okay. I think that that's going to work. We'll do that. And so that'll be, the big thing is getting the word out to the different organizations about their participation in this.
Right.
And we also talked about having organizations choose from, say, a list of designated areas, which is something Brandy would be involved in, is where could we actually be hiding these rocks and not be in trouble? We don't think we want, not private property probably.
Yeah, so we'd either have to get permission from property owners, like the Port of Bremerton, maybe West Bay Center, some businesses downtown. We'd have to, Fred Meyer's, you'd have to do private approval letters, but
Kathy said last week that hiding them down the Port of Bremerton property is not an issue at all. Anywhere in the park, the overlook, all down the sidewalk area, the boardwalk. She said that is not a problem, hiding the rocks.
all of a sudden,
I think
What, Rita?
I was just gonna say, I have myself found them along some of the strip centers, just kind of stuck under a bush, a plant or something. But I think maybe we do need to have some guidelines that go to the organizations as
Right.
far as please encourage staying off private property, and no, don't have the kids climb to hide the rocks. In plain sight is the best, is really the best thing. And just some guide, just liability and common sense, but.
Okay, which brings up another point. Do the
Yeah.
organizations have to furnish a certificate of liability to the city for doing the rocks?
Can't imagine why.
No, I'll fill out our special event application that includes that, what we're doing. I mean, I think
Okay.
it's exempt. I mean, as long as they're using it on our city right away, or, I think that's fine. It's part of the special event that we're having. I think it's fine.
So, Brandy, I think we need to work with you to come up with a list of places that we should be encouraging groups to hide them. And then maybe a group could say, I want that park. And that gets to be their park, or two groups hide rocks in a park or something. So the joy gets spread around and we kind of have an idea of where things are.
Yeah,
So-
I'll send an email to our operations manager, our public works operations manager, as well as the chief, just to see if they have any ideas to, one, we absolutely want to stay away from because of known activity, right? We don't want to encourage that mix, but just to make sure that they don't have any planned construction that's going on in certain areas, but and see if they have any ideas as well. So,
Or anything too isolated, because it starts getting dark that time of year. Well, I guess we don't really want to have people out at the back of the McCormick Woods Park, kids.
No.
but
You
I mean,
know,
I have a question for
parks,
Chris.
that's great. And that would just be one of the ones, we encourage you not to do it at night, doing during the day. Yeah, and I'll just confirm that there isn't any issues with us doing it at all of our parks, and I can list all of our parks.
Okay.
I have a question for Chris.
No
When
sidewalks.
When the library did their rocks, they were strictly downtown around Bay Street. Were they on the park area at all? The gazebo, the bleachers, overlook, the boardwalk?
I think if they went down as far as the bleachers
Okay.
and up to where, probably as far up as the bank.
Okay. So what I'm getting at, Cindy, is we've got X number of organizations. If we have 20 groups and we say, can you do 10 rocks? That's 200 rocks. That maybe we formulate it to where, based on what they hit in that specific area, that we limit ourselves to say, okay, if we take 30 groups, ask them to do 10 rocks, that's 300 rocks. How many would we want that group to do? Because we wouldn't necessarily want them to do 50 and expect them to hide 50. Do you follow where I'm going with that? Because we don't want an overabundance of rocks, I would
Well,
think.
that's what I was thinking.
Why
that
not?
we could have them in like all over town. What if we had them? I mean, I'm
Well,
thinking,
each organization may request a certain area that's not necessarily in downtown, that maybe they have a group of kids that would all
Okay.
be in that area.
like
Well, I'm thinking of Cindy's noon Rotary. You guys could take the Port of Aorta and hide them all around the Port of Aorta.
except that it's not open. We don't go there anymore.
Oh,
But you know what? I mean, right. So we want them to be in safe places. So roundabouts might not be the best area because kids will run to the middle of a roundabout.
we don't want that.
Right. But, that's why we need the city and the police to weigh in on
Yeah, we
a
do.
whole list of good places. And we know the Port of Bremerton. I don't know, Chris, maybe POPSA can come up with places that are safe to do downtown, or maybe POPSA can just do downtown.
The
So
high school field,
yeah, like the high school, right?
because there's no
The only
school
thing I
going.
can think that they're gonna say is safe is our parks. I mean, there isn't any other, can't think of any other city property outside of parks that would be safe for people outside of the right of way, the actual road, sidewalks. We don't want them in part of that.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'll reach out to them, see what, they might have some good ideas.
Because I remember finding a rock on my street too, in the right of way, in a
Oh,
tree.
yeah, okay, yeah.
So you could do that all along any street. You could have rocks hidden in the right of way, and there wouldn't be an issue, I don't think. I
Yeah.
don't think there'd be any safety concerns or anything that way. But that's what,
I found a rock going into the post office sitting on the concrete right behind the mail drop canister.
yeah, see, that's cool stuff.
Yeah.
And that's federal. We're all federal. We all pay taxes, so we can, and maybe the organizations can come up with areas that they would kind of like to cover.
The Kitsap County campus, right? It's really a park campus, right?
Yeah, just don't go in the.
That's a public building entrance.
Right. And over by Givens, there's a lot of areas over there that would be pretty safe.
Yeah.
So I think what we have to do is have kind of designated areas, and organizations maybe choose where they're going to or see if it's still available. And I don't feel like a quantity matters. I think the more the merrier.
Okay.
Because we got, 17,000 people in Port Orchard. If everybody got a rock,
They've got 3 weeks too. They don't have to find them the actual Chimes and Lights day. They could go
Right.
out the next weekend, and when the Christmas, well, not Christmas Eve, you prefer during the day, but Christmas Eve day, they could. I don't know if anybody would have any left, but it's still fun to look.
Well, if they're going to give out prizes, though, would we want to set a time limit as to when they get that prize? Of course, that rock may never be found either.
it could be later. It could even
Yeah.
be in the new year.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters. If
Okay.
we're mostly using the city Facebook as the recognition thing, that can be any time,
Yeah.
It's good to have it spread out. If you had it one day, you're showing it your crowd, so you don't want that.
Right, it'd be like the Easter egg drop or something. We're not going to do that. But
Hey, Cindy,
Yeah.
when you put up that paper of yours, what did you have? You had rocks and what did it say, your ideas?
oh, I
Carol.
just,
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I was just thinking of that theme that you had.
well,
What do you say? What'd you say? Love, light, and care rocks. Idea. Okay. Love, lights. I'm just care rock. Okay. I was just looking at. You could do something like just the rocks, like rocks, and then the N in the middle. You know how the kind of the new way of the modern way of writing a theme. Rocks and lights. Rocks. ROCKS space capital N lights. Rocks and lights.
Yeah.
Oh.
oh yeah. Rocks and lights.
And
Well,
and
that
I just stole that. There's some big cities around the country that do an event like that. It's called Santa's Rocks and Lights. But what they do is it's a big drive-through thing where you see Santa and music and lights, and their rocks has a different connotation. But this Rocks and Lights would be our rocks, hiding rocks. But anyway, it's just another idea off yours.
It's pleasurable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's not. It's not.
No,
it's
I'm
not.
just kidding.
you
Yeah.
know.
Rocks and joy lights. I know
Yeah,
Sharon
I was trying to find something with joy. I couldn't really find the joy thing.
Sharon's really trying to get joy worked in there, and I can see why.
We all need some joy in our life right now.
I know we
Yeah.
do.
Joyous rocks and lights.
Joyous rocks and light.
Not bad.
Rocks and lights. of
Okay,
joy.
I'm gonna make a
Rocks
list.
and lights of joy,
Well, rocks and lights equal joy.
or rights and lots of joy. Rocks within lights of joy. Whatever. I just throw them around. They're all good ideas.
Yeah, they are. It'll come to us.
And the
But
thing is, lights.
People are going to be very surprised by the rocks thing, as far as, the whole city going with
Yeah.
rocks is going to be kind of like, what? But
It's kind of the end thing right now, though.
No, I think the city will recognize it. From
Yeah,
the
they will,
suburbs.
because we've done so much of it. My grandkids always want to bring them home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once Brandy talks to the chief about designated areas, the court is on board to do rock painting in my driveway again, like we did for the library. But how soon do you want that tutorial?
soon.
Okay, we'll try and get it scheduled in the next week while we
That
still
would
have
be,
weather.
because we'll need to get that up just to give people an idea of how it's done,
Okay,
I think. And plus, it's a really good, thing to have the Fathoms Court involved in this, I think.
okay. If we had the paperwork ready, the farmer's market is still every Saturday and the Fathoms Court is down there every Saturday, that they
Ooh.
could be handing out paper to everybody.
Okay. How much longer is that market going?
Through
Mid-October, isn't it?
October,
Oh, is it?
because Fathoms is gonna do a raffle in September and we're gonna do a raffle in October. Melissa has given us permission to do a raffle. as a fundraiser for Fathoms.
Okay, let's try, we'll try to get some paperwork done for that. That's a very good idea.
Okay.
We'll work on that this week. We'll see how far we can get with this. It's, you know, we're kind of getting close. It's just zeroing in, getting some rules. Just, we're kind of all around the edges of it.
Yeah.
So,
They're going until October 17th.
October 17th?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the last day.
Gotcha. Thank you. Okay, so this is what we'll be doing then, is getting a list of places where we can actually hide rocks, and allowing the organizations to look at that list and choose where they might want to hide them. And we'll have guidelines for some of this. We will work on the deadlines for letting it information going out in the utility billing. And we'll try to get something so at least the last several weeks, the Fathoms Court can hand stuff out at the farmer's market.
Yeah.
And we'll get some ads in the Port Orchard Independent. We'll be thinking about how that's going to look. What we want to do is we don't want to have this great big thing that says, this is what we're not going to do this year. We want it to be as positive and in spite of kind of thing. We've got this plan, and get people on board. But you know, if you've got people like the mayor and the police chief painting rocks, you've got different ones in the community painting rocks, and they hide them, and it will be kind of fun to try to find some of those. You know, if as many people as we can get involved with crazy ideas about what the rocks can say, but they've got to all be nice, you know.
Yeah.
We don't want anything icky. I don't know how we control that exactly, but for the most part, I think it's been pretty positive, right, Chris? You haven't seen any bad
We
stuff.
haven't seen anything negative around stuff like that.
Okay, all right.
I have
And
a
then it,
question. Can you stencil on a rock and then clear gloss over it with shellac?
They normally put some kind of fixative on rocks after they paint them.
It's an acrylic spray usually.
Yeah, it's a shellac kind of spray.
Yeah.
But can you stencil on a rock? With
sure.
you know,
I don't see any reason why not.
like a tattoo stencil.
I would think so. You know, Brandy's like the queen of crafts. I don't know if you guys know that.
Oh yes,
She
I know
does
that.
amazing stuff. Brandy, there probably could be almost anything done on a rock, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we may include some stenciling then in the tutorial. I'll get Helene on that now.
Okay. Okay, so let's just say that we'll try to have the tutorial in 2 weeks. I'm looking at the calendar here and where we're at. Let's try to have a lot of the material that we want presented by the 23rd, so that by the 30th, we can really have a plan for how we're getting everything out. I mean, it's not a lot of time, but I think it's fine, and we're just not going to have the involved advertising like we've had in the past, because we don't have the schedule, you know, all of that.
Maybe
But
we can get some reader board coverage from the Eagles, some of West Bay's reader board. Maybe we can get reader board coverage all throughout town.
ooh, that's a good idea. Okay, so it's wanting the lights involvement, it's wanting the rock involvement, and then the trees downtown, and the decorating more around the town is what we're really after.
Yeah.
And I know we're still kind of fine tuning how we want people to, I know Jeanine was mentioning, the council was even thinking of having people send in pictures of what they've done in their yards, so that we can post those too, or having a contest that way.
That'd be cool.
So instead of, the council did go around looking at lights, but inevitably you miss some. You can't see all the neighborhoods, or a heads up on where things are. So, but it's a lot of stuff to organize in a little bit of time, and we'll see what pans out in the next 2 weeks. But I think we've got some pretty solid ideas. The coloring page, Chris, for that, I think anything where any kids can participate is a good thing.
Yeah.
You could have it, you could have it with Santa sitting on a pile of rocks and they color the rocks.
Just don't have
Okay.
Santa wearing stripes and breaking rocks.
Yeah.
Actually, Chris, could the POPSA just have those kids color rocks instead?
Instead of a coloring page?
Yeah. Where do you
I
put
don't
those?
see why not.
Where do you put those coloring pages? Are they downtown?
Typically, they go to either they get turned back into the business that you pick them up from, or they get turned in at the library. We could put a box together at the market, public market, for them to turn them in.
Why don't we turn that into, instead of a coloring page, the rocks?
So you want kids to paint rocks and then turn them in, and we pick the best rock in the age groups.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it kind of follows the rock theme then.
Then what we can do is we can have that posted too on our Facebook pages or wherever.
Okay, so would we provide the rocks, or
They would just bring them in.
they would just bring them in?
Yeah, that's the easiest way for you guys to do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that isn't a bad idea. Don't they, with their coloring, don't they pretty much have to provide their own crayons and whatever they paint with or whatever?
Yeah, we
So-
just provide the coloring page.
Well,
Chris, you
I
might
mean-
want to make a rock size stipulation though, so they don't bring in some big gigantic 12-inch rock or something.
and actually, Chris, if you wanted to, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to have them available, to have rocks available if people wanted to pick them up.
Okay.
Some people may not know where to find a rock.
Find a rock. Apartment dwellers, who knows?
Hey, Cindy, I put another idea up there. Lights of joy, rocks of cheer. I put another idea up there.
Oh wait, lights of joy.
Rocks of cheer I put it on the chat thing.
That's
Okay,
cute.
that's cute.
And then I put rocks and lights of joy, or lights of joy, rocks of cheer. So I just put a couple of ideas there. My homework's done. Okay.
Let me stop the share so I can get to the chat.
The chat.
I like that. Lights of joy, rocks of cheer.
Like that. I think that does work. Lights of joy, rocks of cheer.
Yep, I like it.
I like it.
Okay, it wins. We don't have a lot
Yay.
of time. Lights of joy, rocks of cheer. That works. Okay, so we'll work on that. Next week I'm going to be gone. 2 weeks. Can you guys afford a meeting in 2 weeks?
I think the email said September 21st.
Okay. Well, that's our
That's a-
regular meeting. Yeah,
The
yeah.
Zoom meeting, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, 3:30 on the 21st.
Okay.
So if we got an email out in between, we could get a list going, you guys, amongst all of us, of listing organizations that we should contact about this idea of getting involved.
Yeah.
I hope we have thousands of rocks.
Yeah.
I want
Going back to what Chris said earlier, with all of the people that bought trees last year, to include them in that list, in addition to all the organizations that have always worked with Chimes and Lights.
Yeah. So if people do a rock, can we get a discount for them somehow with the city? What about
That's a finance director question.
$5 off your
You have.
utility billing? I know the answer, okay,
I
not
know.
so much,
Hey,
yeah.
Brandy, this is an off the wall question, but I know some Reinersons. Are there a lot of them in this town, or that's an unusual name? So are you
My
all related?
in-laws, probably my
Huh?
in-laws.
Okay.
My in-laws.
Okay.
Margaret and Rocky Reinerson is my in-law, and my husband's Michael. So, and he has a
Because
third
we just
brother.
did a wedding for Joy Reinerson.
Oh, he's my nephew.
Oh, okay, yeah. My husband did the wedding for Haley and Joy, and we were at the house.
Oh, you were there?
The log. Were you there at the house, the reception?
Yeah, that's my mother-in-law's house at the reception.
Oh, well, that was. I love those kids. They're beautiful kids.
Yeah.
Didn't even talk to you.
You guys, that's churches, schools,
Churches.
you know, keep thinking of them. Rotary, Seroptimus, everybody, Fathoms. I'm going to talk to council members. I would think that there'll be quite a few city staff people that will really come up with some good ideas. Yeah.
Because churches and schools still aren't meeting. Like what a church could do, like if their kid's pastor could say, everybody paint a rock and bring it and drop it off. That's what they'll have to do. Something like that.
Right. Right.
Creative. Because the first thing they're going to think is, wait, we're not getting our kids together, but we'll have to give them that idea. Have the kids paint a rock and bring it in and tell them it'll be used.
Wouldn't it be fun if we could actually have a listing somewhere of how many people actually did this?
Yeah.
It would be cool to have like a physical listing. How could we do this?
We just have them fill out a form. If you're going to do a rock, copy it off the website and send that form into the city that you're doing rocks.
We could do something like that, Brenda. You think we could? Because wouldn't it be fun to have?
Well, they could turn in when they submit their rocks. They could turn that form in. They kind of need to be able to keep well, they need to put their name on their rock or something with a corresponding sheet so they know this number is this person. But that's kind of have to be the responsibility of the organization that's taking care of that group.
Maybe we could have something where the clubs just list all the people who did a rock. It would be a fun list to have, and it might be thousands of people doing this.
Where would you put it, Cindy?
Huh?
Where would you put it?
Downtown on the fence that goes around the area, 640 Bay Street.
Or on the Port Orchard City Facebook page.
Yeah, we certainly have it on the Facebook page. But it would be fun to have it listed somewhere else too. I don't know where yet, but you know, wouldn't
It could
be cool?
get very long.
I know, but that's the idea.
We're hopeful, yeah, hopefully.
If people could find their name on something.
Oh.
Well, and if you find that that gets that's too much of a magnet, they'd still like to see their organization, you know. So or church.
Right.
The kids of New Hope, South Kitsap, the kids of, you know, wherever.
Yeah.
And if it got too much for staff to handle, maybe we could get a volunteer who would actually just keep alphabetizing it and keeping it going. I don't know. But, you know, we're coming up with just a lot of ideas, and I think they're fun, and what we want is engagement. And I think we're on our way. So, yeah, you've been very kind. We got to let Brandy scoot. And I think we've got some direction now. Thank you very much. This has been great. Chris, thank you so much for coming. It's nice to see you, and all my old standbys here. Thank you again for being a part of this. We'll keep sharing it with all the different organizations. I'm sure that there'll be more ideas, and you know, we'll come up with a few little rules and things and guidelines or whatever. But again, it's just meant to have a little something in the midst of a time when we can't do much. Yeah.
Fun. A
All
little
right.
joy, just like Sharon says, a little joy.
Yes. So thank you again.
Lots
Thank you
of
so
joy.
much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks, but you'll hear from us in between.
Okay, I should have more information for you on what Pops is doing by then.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Good to see all of you.
Recording now.
Likewise.